Also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in and beyond this evening. Minority slams DUMSOR levy as a hypocritical betrayal of public trust, demanding government holds wide consultation on the levy. Stay with us. Meanwhile, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, calls off its intended sit-down strike over the rollout of the 1 cedi petroleum levy. We've got details for you. Also this evening, patients bear the brunt as members of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, GNMA, continue to strike, defying a court order to resume negotiations over the implementation of their conditions of service. Meanwhile, the Health Committee of Parliament to hold an emergency meeting tomorrow over the development. Stay with us. We've got details for you. Here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in and beyond. Let's get into the details of the stories right now. As a minority in Parliament has launched a scathing attack on the NDC government over the controversial Energy Sector Levy Amendment Bill 2025, which imposes a 1 cedi charge on every litre of petrol. The levy, set to take effect on June 16, aims to raise some 5.7 billion Ghana cedis annually to offset Ghana's $3.1 billion energy sector debt, specifically 1.2 billion for fuel. That's acquisition of fuel for the powering of the thermal plants. Now, what we do know is that the minority, in their view, earlier today at the press conference, called it a hypocritical betrayal of public trust, arguing it reverses the NDC's past opposition to similar taxes like the e-levy. At a press conference ranking on the energy and also the Economic Committee of Parliament, Kojopo Nkrumah slammed the levy as economically devastating and demanded transparency on how the funds will be used.
Now, we want to take a moment to highlight some things about the levy that, because the people of Ghana didn't get an opportunity to have a full discussion on it, have come up and we think we need to draw your attention to. First is the rate that is being charged. Ghanaians will bear witness that this levy is being charged at a rate of 8% per transaction. 8% per transaction. And this makes it one of the highest tax rates introduced in Ghana in a single instance. If you study the history of VAT and many of our other revenue handles, you notice that at the first instance of introduction, sometimes it's 1%, 1.5% or 2%, and then maybe as the years go by, you may find some add-ons and then a consolidation. For this particular levy, at the first instance, the government is charging the people of Ghana 8%. And this is one of the highest rates at first instance in terms of taxation that is being introduced in the Republic. Again, even if this levy wasn't hypocritical, as has been mentioned by my brother, and had an honest justification, why would the government impose a levy with an 8% transaction rate on the people of Ghana? It's just simple wickedness. And to think that this 8% is on every gallon of fuel, actually cascading down to every liter of fuel, to pay for the inefficiencies in the energy sector is simply a stab in the back of many people who believe the government at their words that they will not impose levies to pay for the inefficiencies in the energy sector. Now, for every 1 gallon of petrol product that you buy or diesel that you buy, this government is, because of this tax, going to take an additional 4 cedis and 50 pesos from you. That is 8%. We recall the NDC's claim that the then MPP government had done no work for Ghanaians when they are transferring their money, and therefore had no business in charging 1% levy on Momo transactions. So we ask you, What is the work that the NDC has done when you are buying your fuel in the back of many people who believe the government at their words that they will not impose levies to pay for the inefficiencies in the energy sector? Now, for every 1 gallon of petrol product that you buy or diesel that you buy, this government is, because of this tax, going to take an additional 4 cedis and 50 pesos from you. That is 8%. We recall the NDC's claim that the then MPP government had done no work for Ghanaians when they are transferring their money, and therefore had no business in charging 1% levy on Momo transactions.
That's Kojo Ponkroma. He is a ranking member on the Economic Committee of this 9th Parliament. Now, the minority insists government should prioritize fixing systemic issues. Now, like the ECG, revenue losses, and grid cost inefficiency, instead of taxing Ghanaians. They cite the finance minister's January pledge not to use the tariffs to cover ECG's failure, a promise now broken.
We, however, have some alternative suggestions to make to the government, and I'd like to highlight a few of them. The minority believes strongly that if this government is minded to pay off the energy sector debt, because you recall that part of their justification is that they want to pay off the energy sector debt. In fact, the president said he will pay it off by December 2026. And we have just done the math for you, that if you look at what is going to accrue in the 2 years, it cannot pay off the energy sector debt. But let us assume that they are being honest with that they want to pay off the energy sector debt. We think that what the government should do is to conclude the renegotiations of the of the power purchase agreements which were started by the previous administration, and to pass on 2 things, the fuel and capacity charges into the PPAs. Government should include these in the tariff calculations to eliminate the need for off-book debts that are caused by the take or pay clauses in the energy sector contracts that were signed between 2013 and 2016. And you will recall that that is one of the major challenges that has created this stock of energy sector debt. The capacity charges and the take or pay charges, which could not be included in the tariffs. And so every now and then a bill is sent to the finance ministry to pay, and that bill is accumulating. If the government is really intended to pay, one of the things it should do is to complete the renegotiation, move the fuel purchases and the excess capacity charges into the PPAs, so that when people consume a certain realistic amount, then they will pay. Number 2, government should quicken the efforts to bring efficiency into the operations of GRIDCO and ECG to reduce transmission, distribution, and other technical losses. You have followed the arguments that part of the problem is the losses occasioned during transmission and distribution and collection. If government really means well, that is one of the areas to focus attention and front load. Number 3, we're asking government to pursue the strategy that we proposed in 2024 to go heavily into renewable energy, as advertised, for example, in our manifesto, to reduce the need for fuel importation and its consequent negative impacts on the economy.
All right, so that's Kojo Ponkroma there. He is ranking on the Economic Committee, the Ofasha Yerebe Member of Parliament. Let's go on to the telephone now, and Richmond Roxon speaks for the Energy Ministry. Is joining us on the telephone right now. He's a private legal practitioner as well. Richmond, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred, and thank you for the opportunity.
The minority says that this is a stab in the back for Ghanaians, because you promised that you were not going to impose any new taxes, only for us to wake up to this. Essentially, they're making the point that with this 8% transaction rate on every gallon of petrol, translating into 4 cedis 50 pesos on every gallon because of this levy, it cannot be the case that Ghanaians will not feel the burden that comes with this levy. So you should explore other means. What do you have to say to that?
Good evening, Alfred, and good evening once again to your cherished listeners. I think that when it comes to the issue of the energy sector, the minority should be very cautious in how it decides to antagonize government for trying to fix the problems that they created. We are largely where we are as a country because of the mess and mismanagement that they supervise when it comes to the energy sector, particularly the power sector. This is a sector that, as we speak today, the country is indebted to IPPs of $1.75 billion. The country owes supplies when it comes to fuel. It was their decision to make sure that the energy tariff structure does not include liquid fuels, which has led to some debt. They have mismanaged ECG to its needs. They supervise over a sector where over 40% losses are recorded each month, for the year, for aggregate technical and commercial losses. So if you have a government that is finding innovative ways to resolve the challenges in the sector, to make sure that we have a robust power sector and that at all times Ghanaians enjoy stable electricity supply, they should start aside and then let the people of Ghana get the support that the government needs to ensure that the power sector challenges are being dealt with.
I see, but then again, they make the point that you would rather look at other ways of cutting down the inefficiency instead of imposing this hardship on Ghanaians. I mean, regardless of what you say and how they mismanage the sector as you're talking about.
Did they find innovative ways of cutting down the losses? Is that what they did in government for 8 years? Is that what they did? If they had the solutions, why are we where we are today? The government has only been in power for 5 months. If they had the solutions and they were very innovative, we shouldn't be where we are today. What the government has done is that the government has been innovative by looking at the windfalls that we've recorded as a result of the prudent management of the economy, as a result of the reduction in fuel prices, and that the government is asking the people of Ghana to support. But they didn't do that. They created the mess. They mismanaged ESLA. If they had all the solutions and were innovative, we should have a clean bill of health when it comes to the energy sector. But that is not what we are recording today. So if you are talking about innovative ways, that's exactly what the government is doing. On the issue of inefficiency, the government is dealing with it. The minister responsible for energy and green transition has made a number of directives. For example, the procurement breaches that we recorded over the period, the minister has directed that there should not be a system where suppliers go and leave the goods or the material that ECG has imported at the ports without delivering them to ECG. The minister has directed that there shouldn't be a time where the management or the board of ECG exceeds its budget. Under them, ECG in 2023 had a budget of 900 million. They spent over 8.3 on procurement. In 2024, it happened again, a budget of 1.2. And they spent over 8 billion in 2 years. They spent over 16 billion with a budget of 2 years. Are they the same people talking about innovative ways and inefficiencies? Let's give the government some space to be able to deal with the mess that they have created. And at the end of the day, whether or not the government has been efficient or not, the people of Ghana will be the best judges.
I say, but in the end, they say, I mean, you're referencing what they did, but they are also looking at what is happening now, essentially, and saying that they're going to have a sustained nationwide campaign to resist what they have described as this draconian and unjust tax measure. That's what they intend to do. Mr. Hawking.
What they are engaging is just politicking. I mean, it's not every time that as a political party you seek to score political points. This is not the time to do that, especially when you have supervised over the mess. This is not the time to do that. This is the time to lend support to the government to ensure that the sector is cleaned. If you will recall that when the ECG containers mark issue came up, go and play back what Afenyo Martin said. Afenyo Martin said this issue should not be NDC MPP as usual, and that there's a problem that which must be tackled. What has changed? What has changed? That is what the minority leader said in Parliament. He was the board chair. He knows ECG's books. He's part of those who supervised over that. So please, let's just allow the government to clean up the sector and deal with the issues. All the inefficiencies are being tackled head on. Like I said, the issue with procurement is being dealt with. The issue of liquid fuel is being dealt with. the supply of natural gas is being dealt with by increasing supply and also putting together a new gas infrastructure processing plant. The procurement breaches are also being dealt with. The difficult transmission and distribution lines that were inherited by the government is being dealt with. In December 2024, and you can check with Gridco, you can write, use an RCI to ask them for the information. They were shedding load of 700 megawatts. Is that what has happened in the last 5 months? No, because of prudent management of the sector. So they should give government a break and allow government to deal with the challenges that they've created. They should lend government of its support so that the sector can be cleaned up, the sector's challenges can be dealt with completely. But any government that comes in future will have a better energy sector than what we are experiencing today.
See, but beyond them now, you recall the concerns that the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies also had, and reason why the implementation of this levy has been postponed from today to next week Saturday because of the calibration and all what they have to do. And they had earlier indicated that already this downstream sector is heavily overtaxed, and so that had to also be considered. You've been engaging with them. What has been their response to this concern they raised earlier?
In fact, Alfred, I'll put that in two perspectives. The first one is that you had a chamber initially raising concerns over the introduction of the levy. As of today, the chamber's position is that they are not opposed to the levy. They accept that they will plead for the levy. But what they have done is that they have asked government, they've sent some proposals to government. They sent, on Thursday, you can confirm from them, I didn't want to put this information out because we don't like to put stakeholder engagement out there. But they captured it in their reports that on Thursday they met the Minister for Energy and Green Transition and they tabled 3 proposals before the Minister. Those proposals, the Minister gave his blessings and the Minister has said that it will be forwarded to Ministry of Finance for a review and a decision will be taken because those proposals have fiscal implications. I mean, they have financial implications, which is not part of the mandate of the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. So yes, his proposals, concerns were raised from the start. Engagements continue to happen. The position today is they are willing and ready to pay. And then, yes, as of yesterday, even on Sunday, when the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Ministry of Finance, and the stakeholders engaged them, what their concern was that they wanted the dates of implementation moved from 9th to 16th, which government has also granted. So all the concerns that they've raised have been addressed, and then few of them are still underway for it to be addressed by the ministry that is in charge of that sector.
Essentially, they are only going to be the collecting agency for you. I mean, they're not the ones going to pay. It is the consumers who are going to pay. I mean, they'll just have to calibrate their systems to make ready for the implementation of the levy. I mean, that's why they've asked for the postponement, is it not?
No, so what they concerns themselves that beyond the calibration of the system, like I said, you're making me go into the proposals they brought. One of the things they raised, one of the concerns they raised was that if you look at the decision to implement, normally they plan before the beginning of the window, and that if it is in the middle of the window, they have to put their finances together. Because depending on how you make your purchases, whether you're under bond or you are a cash and carry customer, its implications are different. You may have to get guarantees from a financial institution or get insurance guarantees. And that's why when government engaged and government decided to move the dates, defer the dates from 9th to 16th, it wasn't just about calibration of the system. It had to do with concerns that they had as OMCs, which have been addressed by government.
I want you to respond to the flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been speaking about this. Is that he says that you lied to the Ghanaian people about this and that you're not going to introduce new taxes. You've turned around and introduced this tax. That's a blatant lie to the people. Take a listen to this.
NDC for every day, and now somebody in Amo, the DUMSOR levy aba. DUMSOR levy. DUMSOR levy. So first, no more say e-levy. Na yedi aba. Omo be e-levy no omo be ye. And then omo the DUMSOR levy aba. It is 8 times the e-levy. Omo ansusu anyo. And then uto 1 liter of petrol. 1 cedi no obetua. Uto 1,000 cedis of petrol obetua 83 cedis. 83 cedis as tax. E-levy no usende obi 1,000 momo obetua 10 cedis. Omo ene obetua 4,000 obetua 83 cedis for fuel. We nimu nyina more beba. By the time yebedu 2028 no Ghana nyina be hu se omutwa antro bebre meme gidi se omubeka nkyere yen se yensan ba biom embefa aban no ensiesie Ghana.
Well, so that's Dr. Mahmoud Bamia for you. Mr. Richmond Roxon, essentially. It says this is midnight robbery and lies.
The first issue is, in fact, I'm trying to be I'm restraining myself because we are trying to focus on the people of Ghana. The government is trying to deal with the challenges, and that is why the government continues to plead with the people of Ghana to support the government in this difficult but necessary decision. The point of in fact, the first point is that for Dr. Bawumia to even benchmark this levy with the e-levy, it's just disingenuous. Alfred, were we not told that Dr. Bawumia was not in favor of e-levy? Did he not promise to abolish e-levy? Did both political parties, after the NDC MPs at the time boycotted Parliament and opposed vehemently the passing of e-levy, not promise to scrap e-levy if elected? So if you've had a government that has repealed e-levy, why is this the benchmark? Is this that the position that it is not true that at the time Dr. Bawumia did not support it? Is it that when he told the people of Ghana that he will repeal it, he didn't believe in it? Those are credibility issues. That's why I said that let's not go on this political tangent, because when you do that, then people have to go into detail and subject you and your decisions to critical scrutiny. It will be better for us to focus on the way forward. You don't cause the mess and antagonize those who are trying to fix the mess. You don't do that. So if he continues to benchmark the e-levy, what he's saying is that, indeed, his campaign promise of abolishing e-levy was not sincere. That is what Dr. Bawumia will be telling us. This levy, the current amendment of the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act, the current introduction that we've seen, it's as a result of the challenges that we have when it comes to fuel acquisition and subsequently the mess that has been created. Let's focus on that so that we don't end up derailing and focusing on peripherals. But the NPP should not be part of the group of people who would have concerns when it comes to this implementation and the problems that the government is trying to deal with.
No.
The government, under Dr. Bawumia, we saw fuel go to as high as 23 Ghana cedis. We saw petrol go as high as 17 Ghana cedis. We saw inflation go as high as 54%. Is that what is happening today? Are the people of Ghana not making savings as a result of prudent management of the economy? So if there's a windfall, and the government has identified a huge problem when it comes to liquid fuels, and the government is pleading with the people of Ghana to support, they should not be part of the conversation.
Mr. Roxon, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Richmond Roxon is the spokesperson for the Energy Ministry. He is a private legal practitioner as well. For Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School,